Vermont doesn't try to sell itself as the best state for LLCs. No flashy tax headlines, no viral hype. But here's what it does offer: a clean system, predictable costs, and a really straightforward setup. And for a lot of founders, that's actually what matters. So today, let's break it down. I'm going to walk you through how to start an LLC in Vermont in 2026, what it costs upfront, what you'll pay each year, and whether this state makes sense for your business. Hey, I'm Bobby Casey, founder of Business Anywhere. I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs, U.S. founders, expats, digital nomads, and non-U.S. residents form LLCs remotely without getting stuck in confusing state processes. And Vermont is one of those states where everything is pretty clear, as long as you understand the flow. All right, before we get into Vermont specifically, let's zoom out for a second. An LLC, limited liability company, is all about protection. It separates you from your business. If your company runs into legal trouble or debt, your personal assets are generally protected. That's the whole point. And from a tax standpoint, LLCs are flexible. A single-member LLC is taxed like a sole proprietorship by default. A multi-member LLC is taxed like a partnership. And if it makes sense later, you can elect S-Corp taxation. So you get liability protection without corporate complexity. Now, let's talk about Vermont. The filing fee to form an LLC in Vermont is $125. That's paid to the Vermont Secretary of State when you file your articles of organization. So upfront, it's right in that middle range. And then there's the ongoing cost. Vermont requires LLCs to file an annual report, and the filing fee is $35 per year. So compared to some states with higher annual fees, Vermont is relatively manageable from a compliance cost standpoint. All right, so how do you actually form your Vermont LLC? It starts with your business name. Your LLC name must be distinguishable from other registered businesses in Vermont, and it must include Limited Liability Company, LLC, at the end. So it can't just be Green Mountain Ventures, it needs to be Green Mountain Ventures, LLC. Before committing, search the Vermont Business Database to confirm availability. If you're not ready to file yet, you can reserve your name for a limited period for a small fee. Once your name is squared away, let's move on to your registered agent. Every Vermont LLC must have a registered agent with a physical street address in the state. No P.O. boxes. This is the person or company that receives legal documents and official notices on behalf of your business. If you live in Vermont, you can act as your own registered agent, but your address becomes public record and you must be available during normal business hours. That's why many founders choose a professional registered agent service. It keeps your information private and ensures nothing important gets missed. Now, moving forward to the official filing, you'll submit your articles of organization to the Vermont Secretary of State. The filing fee is $125. In that filing, you'll provide your LLC name, registered agent information, principal office address, and management structure, whether your LLC is member-managed or manager-managed. Once approved, your LLC is officially active. Now, even though Vermont doesn't require you to submit it to the state, you should absolutely create an operating agreement. This document outlines ownership, decision-making, profit distribution, and what happens if a member exits. Even if you're a single-member LLC, it strengthens your liability protection and makes your business look more legitimate to banks and partners. Next up, your EIN. Your employer identification number comes from the IRS and it's completely free. You'll need it to open a U.S. business bank account, hire employees, and file federal taxes. If you're a U.S. resident with an SSN, you can apply online and get it quickly. If you're outside the U.S., the process takes a bit longer but is still manageable. Now let's talk about compliance. Vermont requires LLCs to file an annual report each year. The filing fee is $35. This keeps your business information up to date with the state. If you miss the deadline, your LLC can fall out of good standing or even be administratively dissolved. So while the cost is relatively low, staying on top of it is still important. Depending on your business activities, you may also need to register for state taxes or obtain licenses. Vermont doesn't require a general statewide business license for every LLC, but certain industries absolutely require permits. If you're selling goods, you'll likely need to register for sales tax with the Vermont Department of Taxes. Finally, once your LLC is approved and you've received your EIN, open a dedicated business bank account. This is critical. If you mix personal and business funds, you risk weakening your liability protection. Banks will typically request your articles of organization, EIN confirmation letter, operating agreement, and valid identification. If you're operating remotely, you'll also need a legitimate U.S. business address. So let's recap the roadmap. To start an LLC in Vermont, choose a unique name and confirm availability. Appoint a registered agent with a Vermont street address. File your articles of organization and pay the $125 state fee. Create an operating agreement. Obtain your EIN. Register for any required taxes or licenses. And file your annual report each year for $35. Vermont is simple, steady, and predictable. No hype, just a clean system and manageable ongoing costs. You can absolutely handle the process yourself. But if you'd rather skip the paperwork and compliance tracking, we can help. At Business Anywhere, we'll form your Vermont LLC for free. You just pay the $125 state fee, and we include your first year of registered agent service at no extra cost. We'll also help with your EIN and send annual report reminders so nothing slips through the cracks. So I'm curious, are you forming in Vermont because you live there, or are you comparing it with other Northeast states? Drop a comment and tell me what you're building, and I'll see you in the next one.